Hello everyone, these are my revamps for the LEGO Hero Factory Breakout villains, and today I'm going to showcase them next to their original set forms, starting with Jawblade. And here he is, right next to the original. If you have seen my 15 Worst Hero Factory Sets video, you'll know that I'm not a big fan of the original set, so I went and decided to overhaul pretty much everything. My main inspiration for the new build was the Piscean from Wizard 101, which I just think gives him a bit more of an intimidating edge. Another problem I had with the original figure apart from stature was the jaw, because it has just this giant gap in the middle and it doesn't look very good. So I decided to replace it with an Evoke that I had lying around, and it works pretty well with the Jawblade headpiece. Yeah, I'm fairly satisfied with the way this thing turned out. Next up, we have Toxic Repa. And here he is right next to the original. Now, the original Toxic Repa is a set that I like quite a bit. However, it is a bit of a flawed figure. The body is pretty skinny and under-armored, and it's got this open ball joint that doesn't look very good. I'm fairly satisfied with the way mine turned out. It's got some pretty similar looks to the original, but I really like the way the transgreen just kind of pokes through the black, just kind of glows a little bit. The arms aren't too different. The original were pretty bulky, so I tried to keep a similar aesthetic while just making the pieces bigger. And the legs on the original are very skinny, and they look a little too under-armored, and of course they use those 2008 feet. But anyway, on mine, I decided to add in an extra joint, just because I wanted him to look a little more alien, and the Star Wars piece I used just adds a little bit of an organic smoothness to it that makes him look more alien. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about this one. Next up, we have Thorn Racks. While the original set is a pretty good set, my issue with it is that it looks more like a wild animal than a criminal that would need to be apprehended. So when it came to recreating it, I decided I would try to give it more personality, and one way I kind of accomplished that was with arms and hands. I just feel like they add a new layer of posability, and they can work to kind of help establish personality and emotion. I decided to give him heterochromia just because I thought it looked cool and kind of helped make him stand out a little bit, and that's just something I could do with that piece. I decided to use as many of the light blue bones that the original had as I could, because that was a pretty unique thing about the original. He was the first introduced to that color, so I decided to just apply it as much as I could. And yeah, I think that's all I really have to say about my Thorn Racks revamp. And next up, we have Split Face. And I think I may have overdone it a little bit with size. While the original is a cool set, I'm a little dissatisfied with how it handles asymmetry, specifically in the torso, because it's just gunmetal with some red printing on it. So with mine, I decided to come up with a custom build where I could apply red and gunmetal armor to both sides, and to kind of help with that, I applied different types of armor. I went and changed out the feet and went and made them both different to, again, kind of emphasize the asymmetry and that this is kind of a fusion between two different characters. I decided to turn the shredding claw into an actual claw. I don't know, I just thought it kind of looked cool. And on the original, the gunmetal half has these green spikes, so I decided to make a secondary color on the gunmetal half green. I decided to change out the insecticide cannon with, well, something much bigger, and I'm pretty happy with the way that turned out. Definitely looks like something that could tear a meteor in half compared to the original. And I decided to apply the Fangs printed armor because I thought it looked pretty cool. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about this one, so let's move on. And here we have XT4. The original XT4 is a bit of a divisive set. Some people cannot stand him and some people love him. I lean more towards the side of loving him. I think he's just kind of a neat little figure with a lot of personality given his size. Something that I'm pretty happy with on mine is the way that the Breakout Evo torso armor looks on him. I really like the kind of circuit board pattern he has, gives him more of a robotic appearance. I decided to equip him with multiple saw blades just because I had a bunch of these parts lying around. I decided to upgrade the thin little laser claw that the original had into, well, a much bigger laser. And then I decided to keep one of the spike hands because I had nothing else to put there. I decided to give him kind of a bizarre leg design for no other reason than I wanted to make it look weird, and it kind of works to give him stability because he's supposed to be like a mining robot, I think. I like the Empire kind of branding on his knees, but yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have to say about this one. Next up, we have Core Hunter. So the original is a pretty cool set, and I decided I would go for a completely different kind of hunter for this. For this, I decided to go with a game hunter and gave him a sniper rifle. And I'm pretty happy with the way the sniper rifle turned out. I think it looks pretty good. A little problem with the original is the fact that the core removal tool can't actually grip onto hero cores. So I decided to come up with my own design, and I have it stored on his back right now. Unfortunately, that lightsaber rod can't come out, and it's a little annoying, but anyway, when you put that back on, you can just put the core removal tool onto his arm, and now he has it equipped. It's got a clamping design so it can actually grab onto hero cores and actually hold them, unlike the original. As I'm demonstrating here, it's not really that challenging to get him to hold the core in the clamp. Pretty easy. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Core Hunter. I think this one is one of my favorites. Alright, and here we have Vultix. And here he is next to the original. So the most noticeable thing that I changed from the original was the red, because it was just too eye-grabbing compared to the other bright colors on the figure. I decided to swap all the tubes out for the ones with the trans green in it, because it kind of looks like the electricity being used throughout the figure. And then I just decided to drench mine in as many electric pieces as I could, including the webs from the Marvel Miles Morales mech. I decided to use a bunch of the Surge 1.0 swords as weapons and just kind of a giant electric thing coming off of his back. And a bonus of getting rid of all that red allows me to put in more purple that people liked the set for originally. And next up we have Speeda Demon. And in case the wheels didn't tip you off, this is a bioformer. For right now, I'm just going to compare the robot mode to the rider and the vehicle mode to the rider and the motorcycle. I decided to remove the gold because I just didn't really like the way it looked on mine. So I decided to keep kind of the main concepts of the rider the same. He's got 4 arms, he's got 2 swords, and I guess the lightning handlebars are supposed to be 2 blasters. I decided to swap out the original kind of samurai swords with these Takanuva 08 swords because I just kind of had them lying around. And for projectile weapons, I just gave him a couple of the Surge 2.0, I guess, rifles. But anyway, now it's time to transform this thing, and I got this at like 3 times speed because I'm not really much of a Transformers guy. And the transformation is fairly basic because making bioformers isn't really my specialty. But anyway, now we have him in this, I guess, weird super tricycle form. But anyway, here he is next to the original with his bike. One element from the original that I kind of kept were these spikes that I used to just kind of ram into things. I decided to have these swords kind of double as that, so if he gains enough speed, he can just kind of crash into things and cut them up. I decided to give him front-facing guns, and I think they work out pretty well. He can roll pretty decently. It's not fantastic, but it gets the job done. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about this, so let's move on. Alright, and finally we have the Black Phantom. So one of the biggest things that I wanted to do with mine was kind of emphasize the dark red that the original had, because it was more of a highlight color, but I decided to just kind of upgrade it to a full-on secondary color. I decided to keep the weapon relatively the same, but I removed the sword at the end because I thought that was a bit much. I decided to swap the original silver Arachnix drone for the black one that came with Thorn Racks, and then gave it dark red legs with the black spikes. And here's just kind of a side-by-side of the two. Mine doesn't actually attach to the figure, instead he just kind of clamps onto the shoulder. Nothing really holds it into place other than gravity, I guess. And he wouldn't even be able to hold it like the original due to the custom hand design. I swapped out the transparent green armor on the things on his back for black ones just because those are the only parts on the set that are that color. They kind of stand out in a bad way. Something I'm pretty happy with on mine is the way that the lower legs turned out with the dark red scroll armor. Just kind of packed underneath the white CCBS shell. But anyway, that's gonna be it for my Breakout villains. Stay tuned for when I decide to cover my Brain Attack heroes. Until then, take care.